Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm Lisa Silvera from the Inside Out Movement, and I'm sitting in today for Lavinia, who'll be back on Saturday with a very special guest, Donna DeCruz. One of the reasons that I'm so pleased to be with you all here today is because for the past maybe 8 weeks, we've been talking about the power of reinvention and all the ways you can reimagine your life and the tools that can help you not only get in touch with what you really want, but also the paths to reinvention. So today we have a really special guest, Jackson Lynch, who he doesn't just really talk about the path to reinvention. Jackson has actually lived it. At his midlife point or what some would call a crisis, Jackson actually took stock of his career, his passions, his body, and his soul, and he heard a different path calling out to him. It took grit, a lot of guts, and a lot of luck finding incredible mentors. But he stands here today, a man who has reinvented himself from the ground up. And along the way, learned about some very powerful tools for getting in touch with your authentic self and reclaiming the path that feeds and nurtures your body and your soul. And best of all, he's going to share his wisdom, hard work, and experience with us today. So, as Lavinia would say, let's get this party started. Welcome, Jackson.
Oh, Lisa, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, what an amazing intro. It's such a pleasure to be with you and your audience today. I've been watching the Inside Out movement episodes, and it's great to have someone like Lavinia and yourself and your entire team just offering such an enthusiastic empowerment platform. So, thank you again for having me. It's just such a pleasure.
We're happy to have you here, and we know that our audience is really going to walk away with some valuable tools. And so, thank you for joining us. So, let's just jump right into it. So, I guess to just sort of give us some background, would you take us back in time and tell us what was it that made you realize, or the bell that went off that you needed to like change your life? Like, what was maybe one or two things that made you take notice and like really listen in a different way to what was going on inside yourself?
Wow, sure, of course. I mean, that's the nugget of it, right? What brings you to places of transformation in your life. I'd say that at this iteration, it really goes back to the latter days of the previous century. My life in New York City, working as a branding and marketing executive and creative for Ralph Lauren, and then Nokia in Europe and all over the world, and a variety of companies, and just really, for my whole life, just strapping myself to the wheel of achievement,
Mm.
and going hard and relentlessly, and for me, without really putting any varnish on it, I was broken on nearly every level. I had, because of my background in cycling, and my just sort of ethos of achievement, I
Mm-hmm.
continued to ride and train and work out and do my job and travel, and try to maintain relationships and all these things. And I got to a breaking point. And like a lot of people, you crash. And so I nearly just crashed out.
It sounds like when you describe there's so many metaphors, especially because of your background in cycling, but it's like you were broken in the body and then you then came to realize that felt like you were broken inside. So I get it. You figured out that your life wasn't working for you, but like, how did you get to figuring that out? Like what you should do? Like, in other words, how did you begin your path to discover and like to see like what and who were the kinds of people that led you to where you are today? What were your influences?
Yeah, great question. And I say from internally, the thing that's always propelled me in my life, before these, my current circumstances and iteration, and afterwards, just one of the threads that really ties my whole being together is curiosity.
Hmm.
If I have one secret superpower in life, it's definitely curiosity. You know, and when I arrived at my proverbial wit's end, with that relentless external and internal pressure to achieve,
Hmm.
I was having these really dramatic panic attacks. I mean, just breaking down and sweating and not being able to move and heart palpitations and the whole 10 yards. And I got to a point where I thought really to myself, I'm checking myself into rehab. I mean, I figured, it wasn't because I was drinking too much or taking a lot of drugs. I figured, 30 days of rest and therapy is going to help me.
Yeah.
But, short of that, I did what, people who live on the coast do. I got a therapist. And in that therapeutic process, together we started to unpack some of my stuff. And it just so happened that at the end of every session, somehow she would work in to it, weave in that, this kind of like, you might want to try yoga recommendation. So, after a few sessions, I broke down on that one. And it just so happened I was a member of Equinox. So thank you for Equinox,
That's
Lavinia.
awesome.
And from way back, in that previous century. And so there was an Equinox near my house in Gramercy. So the next day I just marched in. I didn't even know that there was a class, whether it was a class or not. I was like, I'm going to skip my workout. I'm just going to take this yoga class and see what's up.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that there was this very nurturing woman teacher, and it was a beginner's class, and it kicked my ass. I'm like, how can this thing really kick my ass? But I felt different. And then curiosity kicks in. Like, what is this? Right. So I got bitten by that yoga bug. And, because of who I am as a person, my entryway into it was really through the body, through the physical practice of yoga. And then over a period of time, if you stay with something, then it begins to, sort of weave its way and wheedle its way into your mind. And so,
imprinting.
That's how this journey started for me.
Do you think, or how do you think rather, that being like a professional athlete, like shaped your path into like the things that you were open to discovering? Do you think you were always like more body aware because of you being a former professional cyclist, or did it like actually hinder you? Because you talk a lot about competition, you talk about curiosity, but there's also that nature when you're a professional to do it almost too much. How do you think that actually shaped you?
Oh, yeah. I'd say yes, definitely, because of my athletic background, and that, drive to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people my gift and my challenge has always been my sort of intimate relationship with the workings of my body. Mm-hmm. Because when you do any sport, or if you're a dancer, or an actor, any performer, when you have to rely on your body to eat, mm-hmm. then it changes your relationship with your body. It also creates a lot of stress and tension in your body and deep in you, because you're always worried, am I going to get sick? Am I going to get injured? All this other stuff. So definitely my body is my gift, but it's also, it created a situation where I didn't really have a relationship with my mind. I didn't have a relationship with my spirit. Mm-hmm. I didn't really have the kind of relationship that I have, even though I was a cyclist, and it's all eating and pedaling in air. It's just breathing. But I didn't have the kind of relationship that I have with my breath then that I do now, because I hadn't realized that this whole thing is one thing. Right. It's not. I don't have a body and then a separate mind and then a separate sort of breath. They all you come in. It comes in a package. When
It's
you pop out.
interesting. It's
Yeah.
interesting because what you are actually describing in a personal way is a lot about what Lavinia talks about a lot. It's about there needs to be a connection to yourself and to your own soul and to your mind. And then the real feat is pulling all of those things together to form this like healthy human that's, from the inside out. So it sounds like you sort of figured that out, and that's when the path got juicy. So
Yeah.
you use this cool phrase that I just think is so great, but I want you to really just break it down for us. You use the phrase vibrant transformational experiences. And I was like, okay, first of all, I want to go to all of that. Like, where do we get tickets to the vibrant transformational experiences? But like, can you explain to everyone what you mean by that, and like give us an example of what a vibrant transformational experience is coming from you and your practice?
All right. Yeah, it's big words, and I'd say a few years ago, I'd be like, if I heard myself say that, I would vomit in my own mouth, just because it would make no sense to me.
Right.
However, now, yes, a vibrant transformational experience. Okay, so I'll frame this up for you with a question. How long do you think it would take you to get to be a great tennis player if you'd never played tennis?
A long time, like a long
Okay,
time. Couldn't do
right.
it overnight. Couldn't do it overnight.
Shit ton of practice, right?
Right.
Takes a long time.
Yeah.
However, you can be, and you already are, an expert at breathing.
Oof.
All right? And your breath is the most flexible, ready for action part of you. And any of us,
Yeah.
like even with people who have compromised respiratory systems, like people suffering from the effects of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
The primordial urge to breathe is acknowledged by our bodies.
Yeah.
And so to these vibrant transformational experiences that I've discovered and that I share with other people comes through your breath.
Mm-hmm.
And it can happen very quickly. I mean, your breath is the thread that connects all the systems of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So without breath, like you come into the world and you take an inhale,
Right.
and then there's 20 or 30,000 breaths a day. And then on your when you take that last exhale, whenever that is, then you're energetically free.
Right.
What we would call you die.
Right.
So
I prefer free.
Okay, we'll get the freedom thing, because I agree.
Okay.
I mean, this is, an amazing part about this is that, in the energy field, we're just molecules vibrating at a certain frequency within the outline of this package.
Right.
And what enlivens this?
Yeah.
What enlivens this? What is the essence? The essence is the breath.
Yeah.
And the Latin root, one of the Latin roots for breath is spiritus. So they knew way back when that the spirit was that the breath was the invisible actor that
Mm-hmm.
made all this thing come alive and stay alive. So, I can, if you want to calm down, we can calm down we can begin to calm down in 16 seconds.
Right.
If you want to enliven yourself, if you want to get energetic, you can breathe the breath that brings an enormous amount of energy and vibrance into your system. If you want to see God, if whatever that means to you,
Yeah.
we can breathe into that. So
it's so interesting because I don't think that when you break it down like that, it makes perfect sense. But I think that, or me personally, I know that I sometimes lose sight of that. The fact that it is such a simple thing. It's free. There's no tax on it. And it's available to me to do like what you just said, so many different things, to breathe life into my body, to breathe energy, to breathe positivity. Like there's so many ways that we breathe life into our bodies. And I think you're right. We forget sometimes that we have so much control and so much power over our bodies by just using our breath. So for someone like embarking on a similar like life situation as you, or for someone who really wants to get in touch with, what we all talk about a lot here at Inside Out and
Sure.
on these conversations, like with their authentic self and figure out what the next like big thing is going to be. Like what's next? Who am I going to be next? What's my iteration? What's the number one tool or practice you would recommend to them to like get them on that path? Like the thing that goes, okay, loaded, let's go. What would you recommend?
All right. So the cool thing about the breath is that, and we'll breathe together in a moment, but
I
I'll
know,
say
can't
this: the
wait.
cool thing about the breath is that you don't, it lives with you.
Yeah,
You don't have to buy a membership and go somewhere.
yeah,
You don't have to, it just lives with you. And
yeah,
so it's portable. And, wherever you are, you can use it to activate or deactivate systems in your body, that will allow you to then move within a challenging situation. It can
mhm,
help you enjoy a joyful situation even more.
yeah,
I mean, there's so many things that the breath touches, and the primary thing is that we have an opportunity with the breath to change our inner disposition.
yeah, yeah.
So when we're stressed out, the breath helps us re-regulate. When we're down and low, the breath helps us perk up.
Right.
When we want
Energizes.
to explore the universe, the breath will take you there.
Yeah.
So let's do this. The first thing. So one of my teachers, a fellow by the name of Dan Brule, amazing guy, been studying breath for 40 odd years,
Mm-hmm.
and we're curiosity brothers. You know,
I like that.
just he's so curious. His curiosity is off the charts. So I'm stepping back away from my camera because I'm going to show everybody here the simplest breathing technique. And what this does, this is freeing up your breathing mechanism. Okay, for
Okay.
most of us, our breathing mechanism is broken. So there's just basically what you need to do, all right, is let's take one of your hands, any hand is good, place it on your belly.
Okay.
So I'm pointing to my belly button. So my hand is above my belly button, and my thumb is kind of tucked in right at the bottom of my sternum, on my breastbone. All
Okay.
right.
I'm ready.
So cool. So when we breathe, I just want everybody here to breathe in and out through their nose. And I'll give you a little bit about nose breathing in a minute, but we're going to breathe first because that's why we're here. All
Yes.
right. Step 2. And this is really going to be challenging because I know everybody's been doing a lot of sit-ups in quarantine. I would love for you to just relax the 6-pack. Okay? Relax your 6-pack. All right, I'm going to give you a little side view here. So just relax your belly. All right? Now, for the audience, if you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes, and we're just going to do a few rounds of breath. What I'd like for you to do is breathe in and out through your nose smoothly if you can. And then send that breath, put a little bit of the brain from here beneath your hand so that we're going to send the breath into the space beneath your hand. All right? So I'm just going to count it out, and we're going to do what's called box breath. So we're going to inhale for 4, and I'll hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold that exhale for 4. We'll do 2-3 rounds.
Okay.
All right?
Ready.
So everybody,
Yep.
relax your 6-pack, your belly. Maybe just pat on it and just say, love it up a little bit. All right? Now, everybody inhale through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath out for 3, 2, 1. Now inhale into the belly smoothly. 3, 2, 1. And then hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale smoothly through the nose. 2 and 1. Hold that. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we'll stop and just breathe normally. You can take your hand away from your belly.
That
So,
felt so good. I just felt like I got a little oasis of peace, honestly.
there you go. There you go. I'm glad.
Yeah.
So, what the breath that we just did is a breathing technique that is the most basic breathing technique taught to the Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
Why? Because those people are under enormous amount of stress. Bullets are flying at them, bombs are flying at them, they're underwater, they're doing all kinds of stuff to protect us. And they get in situations where their stress response just literally kind of explodes, like they're just in fight or flight.
Right.
So science tells us that the breath does help us re-regulate our nervous system. Right. So that box breath of just inhaling for 4 or 3, whatever you can do, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and then making that sort of symmetrical go round of 4, 4, 4, 4. You can do a number of rounds, and that helps take you out of the stress response and moves you into what we call rest and digest. So, and there's a whole range of things, different things that I work with my collaborators. I call them, the people I work with, I call them collaborators because we work together.
I love
that. And not only do they learn from me, but in experiencing it with them, I learn more of how to share this. So yes, that's the simplest breath. And I tell everybody, put your hand on your belly, relax the 6-pack.
That's right.
Do your breath, and then allow yourself to feel it. If you can close your eyes and sit. I'm standing. I do this all the time. You might see me out somewhere, out in the street or wherever. If you see me with my hand on my belly, either I'm re-regulating my nervous system or I'm practicing.
Yeah.
Because this is, our bodies know, they remember. And having this somatic experience, this bodily experience, patterns these habits. And this breath, this free, relaxed belly, here's the dynamics that we're going to talk about, your breathing mechanism. So your lungs are in your chest cavity, protected by your rib cage.
Yeah.
All right. So at the bottom is your diaphragm. It's that thin layer of muscle. It looks kind of like a jellyfish. And so the jellyfish sits like this. And when you inhale, it draws down and your lungs fill. All right. So, and then when you exhale, it pops up and your lungs empty. Now, it just so happens that the diaphragm's here, your 6-pack is here when you're stressed out, when you're crazy, when the kids are making you nuts, when your boss is yelling in one ear and whoever is yelling in the other ear, or you're afraid that, now we're all afraid we're going to get sick.
Right.
So what happens is the belly gets tight. Once your belly gets tight, the diaphragm can't float like a jellyfish.
Right.
And you breathe up in the top part of your lungs. Now, just a question for you. How much of your lungs, how much breathing capacity do you think you have up here?
I actually learned about that. It's not here. It's actually back here.
Oh, okay. So you're saying, but I guess my question was, what percentage of your lungs is up here?
Not much.
There you go. Not much.
Not much.
It's no more than 15%.
Yeah.
All right. So when we're stressed out, we're ready to fight. We're ready to run, or ready to stand still. All right. Survival.
Yeah.
All right. So when we're stressed out, we're breathing fast and furious up here to get lots of oxygen to the big muscles. So my arms, my legs, my vision gets really sharp.
Yeah.
Right. And then what else happens? Your systems in your body shut down when you're stressed out. So you have systems, I'd say this, you have, 5 houses in the house of you.
Yeah.
You have growth and repair. You've got reproduction, you've got immunity, you've got digestion, elimination, and survival.
Right.
Okay. So when the 911 call comes and boom, you're breathing up in here, everything's ready to go. All those good rooms, growth and repair, immunity, digestion, elimination, those rooms just shut down, closed for business.
Yeah.
And the Jodie Foster panic room is open for business.
Right.
All
That's
right.
great.
So we're not, because we have a conscious mind and we're evolved in this way and we live this way. Most of us are not running from lions and tigers and bears.
Right.
Where our stress is existential. And our mind is working and creating these scenarios. Like, we have so many thoughts. What this is a thought machine.
Yeah.
It's a thought machine. So, and it makes shit up all day long.
And
like
it works overtime. It really
yes,
does.
yes. So here's the thing that people got to realize. And I didn't realize this for the longest time. Your thoughts, you're not your thoughts.
Right.
Your thoughts are not truth.
Right.
I mean, you're just making up your body is pushing all this stuff around and it's looking for danger. Your mind is thinking worst case scenario 24/7.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So, and just to prove it, here's a proof point. Simple. And is that I know that I'm not my thoughts. And I know that my thoughts aren't real, because if my thoughts were real,
I'd be dead.
I would not be standing here today. I would have long ago been put in a maximum security prison.
Got it.
Okay. I mean,
Right.
this is, it's just not, it's not real.
Yeah.
So,
but it's powerful. Even though it's not real, it's so powerful.
And your breath has power to shut that off.
Yes.
And not just shut that off, but help you feel the connection between your body and your mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's already there. We're already connected. As I said earlier, we pop out of the womb connected.
Right.
We're like an integrated system. It's just once the mind gets going, it's the mind and the ego. And there's a lot of philosophy in this, but we'll just stick to the idea is once the mind gets going, it takes over and doesn't listen to the body. It's not paying attention.
Right.
It's creating as opposed to absorbing and feeling and listening to itself.
So I have a question here.
Yeah.
Because you have broken down sort of how the breath actually works and functions in our bodies. But then also the box breath, which is a really great takeaway for our audience. Like something that you can remember. I mean, it really struck me when you said 16 seconds to re-regulate. So we know we can do that kind of practice. Would that be appropriate for the morning and then also say before bed? Because you did talk about how the breath can do different things. It can energize you and it can also bring you down. What would be one thing to everyone out here that you could sort of recommend in terms of a practice and also feeding into a reboot overall of their lives? That's just one step. And why is that step so important?
Okay. This is a great question. And actually a lot of, before we were in quarantine, when I'd be out somewhere, people either know me or people who meet me, they're, oh, you're the breath guy.
That's not a bad thing to be
what do you got for me?
Right.
I would say, okay. And this practice is, simple.
Yeah.
And some people will consider it boring. But once you get into it, you realize how such a positive effect it is on your body. All right. So, and I'm not the only person who teaches this. There's loads of science about working with your nervous system and using your breath. And so this is it. Ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
I would say 3 times a day, or at least when you get up, before you get out of bed, or if you get out of bed and you're having your tea or coffee, your matcha, whatever you enjoy, sit down or lie down and just do 3 to 5 minutes, preferably 5, of just nice, steady, slow breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a box breath. And so what I recommend on this one is just to do kind of like a 4-6 breath. So you inhale for 4.
Yeah.
And then you exhale for 6.
Okay.
And you can count it out. You can use a timer. I use an app actually to do this. so I can customize my breathing. And there's this lovely British woman's voice in my ear that tells me to inhale, exhale. It's really that. And so 4-6 breathing is, and the longer exhale is really important, because the longer exhale is scientifically shown that accesses your relaxation response. So we have what's called the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
And there's tons of great research on the vagus nerve. Stephen Porges at Indiana University wrote an incredible book called Polyvagal Theory, which I recommend. And so when the vagus nerve runs through all these autonomic systems from our head all the way down into our gut.
Yeah.
So when you're exhaling longer, your gut's getting the signal that you're safe and that it's okay for things to calm down.
Yeah.
So, and then the other piece of the exhale is that the exhale tells your heart that it can slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And when your heart slows down, your heart rate, it goes down, lowers your blood pressure.
There it is.
All right.
Yeah.
And then it stacks. Your body says it's okay to relax. It's okay to keep relaxing, and it's building. So that 4-6 breath 2-3 times a day, and it's just a good break too. It gives you this clarity break. So that's the one I would start with. I mean, I have a whole other routine for myself. Like this morning, I after I got up and did that, I have my coffee, and then I'm working with breath holding a lot now. So both on the exhale.
How long can you hold your breath?
Oh gosh, that's a competitive question. Well, not as long as a guy named Stig Severinsen. This guy, I mean, this morning I held my breath I had an inhale hold for about 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
Which I can honestly tell you, it's some of the most peaceful moments of my life. And that's why it's so important to me, is that when I've done this breathing routine to build a lot of oxygen into my system, and then I hold my breath, there's a stillness that I find, and that other people I work with. Yeah, there's a stillness that I've only experienced that way. Yeah. And what's super cool is for about a half an hour or almost an hour after you do breath holding exercises, and you don't have to do 5 minutes. It's like, you don't. For almost an hour after this, your body senses that your head hasn't gotten enough oxygen. Okay. So for that hour, it's just pumping extra blood into your head. And you have this, you walk out and you feel like the Buddha, because you have this clarity.
Yes.
You really do. You have this clarity that you're like, wow, I can do anything. Yeah. Really, you just feel rooted to, your source, to the ground, and you feel so connected to your breath. And then your brain is just like, wow, with oxygen, blood and oxygen. It's
who
really
doesn't
awesome.
want that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Jackson, honestly, you have given us so many wonderful tools, and thank you so much for just connecting us to the most vital tool that we actually have within ourselves, which is our breath. We are so excited to post some of your takeaways and practices on laviniaerico.com for our audience to refer to. Really, thank you so much for being here with us, for telling your story, for the tools. Definitely, everyone, please go to laviniaerico.com. We are going to post the link to this talk, as well as those takeaways and some other wisdom and tool pieces and elements from Jackson. Again, thank you. We'll see you all on Saturday with Lavinia herself. She returns with the one and only Donna DeCruz, who is such a force. We hope that we'll see you on Saturday, and just make it a beautiful day. And don't forget to breathe. Thank you so much, Jackson.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. And you're right. Your body remembers to breathe.
Yes.
Just work with it. Allow it. And just try some of these things. Your breath is so flexible, and it's there with you all the time.
Thank you so
So
much.
enjoy. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.